I know it's Wednesday, but I still have to talk about Aaron Rodgers. I feel bad. Jets fans, this is a history that's personal to me, so it may bum you out even more. But I'm telling you, I have sympathy for you. Um, I'll be nice, but I don't know what it is about the Jets fan that I've known in my life, but I've always found that person to be gross. I don't know. I'm not proud of it. That's not what you want to hear after you just lost your quarterback. But again, it's very specific to me. Because I feel like if you talk to non-Jets fans, you're like, describe a Jets fan, everybody would get it right. Like they would get it right. And now the reason it's personal to me is I was in school and I had roommates and there was kind of this New Jersey, New York City hybrid thing, which I always thought was kind of gross. All right. I'm not talking about the physical appearance. I'm not trying to be mean here. I'm talking about the alignment with the New York and New Jersey teams that never really made any sense to me and I thought was total bullshit. Because let's face it, if you were in the New York kind of New Jersey area, you probably rooted for the Giants. And then when the Jets got Parcells back because of the Parcells connection, all of a sudden you guys are Jets fans. And again, I'm going back like 20 years. And then they were Rangers fans, except when the Devils got good. And then they were Devils fans again. And I was like, hey, what's going on with you guys? Like, can I just like the Blue Jays? Well, I guess I have the hats, but that was a personal relationship. It was always the Knicks because the Nets probably never got good enough, even though there's probably a little stretch of like, is this Van Horn guy going to be awesome? So I know I'm going back years, but that's kind of how I always remember Jets fans is that you're actually Giants fans. And yet when the Jets are good, you're just going to pick a different team. To be awesome for the rest of us in all these different cities. If it was like, what if we had 8 teams in the 4 sports? It's like, well, I can like them too. I don't know if I'd root for the Boston Braves, but I don't know if I was growing up, if I would just be like, yeah, I'm a Red Sox fan, except when the Braves are good, if they had not moved. So that's always bothered me. And I think it's a little fair. And I'm sure plenty of Jets fans are like, hey, you guys aren't exactly sweet in Massachusetts. And I would agree with you. But at least the Pats were really good for like 20 years. And this Jets team cannot seem to figure it out, except when it felt like they had figured it out. I remember, I don't know, second half of the season last year, I've referenced it a few times, watching NFL games and just constantly watching that Jets defense going, I think these guys are filthy, like really good. A chance to win games. Just with the defense alone. I mean, we can talk about Sauce, Quinnen Williams, Johnson, the linebacker, was it Whitehead who had the three picks. But when I watch Quincy Williams out there just tackling everybody, and then you go back, you're like, how did this guy last so long? And you're like, oh, look at his measurements. And he was small, he was undersized, and it hasn't mattered. That Jets defense is good enough to carry them through some of the games. And to bring in Aaron Rodgers, despite what you thought of his, I don't know if he was even diminishing, knowing him, how fired up he'd be to go somewhere else. Like he was probably going to have, even by his standards, like one of the better seasons a quarterback is going to have in the league this year. And then he plays 4 plays. He's out with the Achilles. We know all that now. And just the magnitude, the drama, the part of it where you're like, this is actually happening. Monday Night Football. He's got Garrett Wilson, who's insane. Like, think about what that's going to be like. Rodgers to Wilson and that defense. He's got the American flag. He's running out. It's on 9/11. 4 plays. He's done. There's probably some of you asking, hey, when's this going to get nice? When are you actually going to be nice? The point is, I feel bad for you. I feel bad for you. I don't know. Like, there were some comps thrown around with some of my buddies being like, what is as bad as this? And there are a few that are actually really bad. And there's always the recency bias of, is this the biggest letdown ever to start a season? I don't know. I don't want to get into some of the comps that we came up with. And somebody came up with Gordon Hayward. I'm like, yeah, not really. I don't think it's Gordon Hayward signing as a free agent with the Celtics, breaking his ankle on an alley-oop. I don't think it's that. I remember when that happened, I was just at home watching the game and I tweeted about basketball. So I made a basketball observation that was, I thought, pretty straightforward. It was like, okay, I wonder what this offense is going to look like. And if Marcus Smart decides that, okay, with Hayward out, expecting him to get 16, 17 shots a game, if that changes his approach. And you would have thought I endorsed a political candidate. You would have thought I'd said the most horrific, closed-minded thing you could ever imagine with the response that I got. It was like, how dare you, sir? How dare you? Somebody called me Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless's tweet when Gordon Hayward broke his ankle was, a weak East becomes even weaker for Prince LeBron. So Skip found a way to make fun of LeBron after a guy just broke his ankle. I simply wondered what the offense was going to look like. And people were saying we were the same. Multiple people. It was so bad, I even reached out to one. Didn't even know who the guy was. He's a reporter. I was like, are you fucking kidding? He's like, well, I just think the timing of it all, it's a little insensitive, which is another topic that I will one day unveil, where this imaginary line exists when it's okay to do some of this stuff. The reason I even bring any of that up is that it was on Monday night, minutes after. And this is why I feel bad for Jets fans. Everything was on the table for Aaron Rodgers. Everything. People made fun of that dude all night long. No one cared. Zero repercussions. It was okay content to make fun of Aaron Rodgers because, let's face it, there's a lot of people that don't like him. I'd even admit, and I just think from a football standpoint, I haven't been a huge fan. I've always defended him, the player, because I think he's one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen. But I didn't really like his arguments that much of trying to get out of Green Bay. Like, my point was always consistent. Like, you're acting like you're with Arizona and you're with Green Bay. And other than that final year in 22, it was a really competitive football team that I think the front office actually did a pretty good job. And then this guy didn't even want to show up to camp to work out with a new receiver. He's just mad all the time, just mad at everybody. And then finally got his way and got his way out. So I don't know if that was it, because I don't think it was. I think it was other issues. But everybody was okay making fun of a guy blowing out his Achilles on Monday Night Football and destroying the hopes of a Jets fan base that felt like it had real reason to be excited. So there's the sympathy. I know we didn't get off to a good start with this whole thing, but that's what I wanted to say. A couple more things on that. Before I do that, how many people are going to remember the Jets won that game? I admit, I was looking around and I was working on something, and I look up and I go, wait, this is a game. Like, close the laptop. You have to watch this. This is actually a game. Josh Allen closes the game out with 4 total turnovers. Started seeing this stat. He's 0-5 now in overtimes. I went through the overtime. Some are on him, some aren't. Didn't get the ball back in Kansas City. 94-yard touchdown drive by Brady in one of them. He had a pick in the game against Minnesota. And look, the team, they should not have been in overtime against Zach Wilson. All right. Turn the ball over that much. That's what's going to happen. But now the numbers coming around, because what's our Monday night theory? What's our primetime football game theory? If you're a quarterback and you have the kind of game that Josh Allen has, that's like worth like 4 losses because everyone is paying attention to it. And now it starts coming back to one of our favorite things is, hey, maybe we're not shitting on this guy enough. Because this number sucks for Josh Allen. He came in the league in 2018. He has 84 total turnovers, the most of any player. That's a lot. Despite what Bills Mafia wanted to tell us, which is a really weird campaign, when Allen eventually ascended to a top 3 quarterback, because that's the way he's been talked about now for a couple of years, and I think it's totally fair. I mean, the guy was down. He wasn't very good his first 2 years. I don't know why Bills fans want both. Like, hey, you got the guy. He's really good. It's like, also apologize for not believing in him. Yeah, I didn't believe in him because I didn't think he played that well. And so now you're met with the extreme of this, where it's like, wait, do we need to change our tiers on the fly here after Monday Night Football? I know he had turnovers last year. The red zone stuff was a problem. We thought it was an injury. Other than one year when he had 37 touchdowns to 10 picks in 2020, he's always going to give you a couple more interceptions than maybe you'd want. We love the running component of his game, but I'm just telling you, there's no way, as big as he is, that you're going to be able to keep up attacking defenders. Like, he doesn't even look for the sideline. He is looking for contact every time. And as big as he is, as many times the defender looks like he loses in that transaction, he's got to lose that element of his game. Or just bring it out for the special times when needed in case of an emergency. But instead, he's like, nah, I'll just smash into guys the whole time. So that worries me a little bit. But that's not really talking about who he is as a quarterback, because now it's become a conversation about possibly resetting it when we thought, I mean, hell, even going into last year when there was still some of the Mahomes doubt, it was like, is Allen actually the guy? I'm not going to update Allen's legacy every week. I'm still a big believer. But yeah, you could put together a nice little TV segment argument and go, wait, that guy has that many turnovers and he did it again on Monday night after a year we were questioning it last season. It's all on the table. It's what's going to happen. I'm not going to do it. But let's get back to Rodgers. I hope he's not done. I hope this is not the way he's done. I would guess he'd probably want to play again. Get through this. The Achilles stuff sucks. This is a tough dude. I think in a way, sometimes he doesn't get enough credit for how tough he's been because we're so enamored with the arm. His final resume is never going to be, well, I should say it this way. His final resume will not match who he is as a quarterback as far as talent and ability, because there's going to be a handful of other quarterbacks that are going to have a much better resume than Rodgers is going to have. But he's got the individual stuff, the 4 MVPs, multiple AP first teams. I think he's got 4 of those. He was maybe going to pass Favre in career touchdowns for 4th all time. Needed 33 of those this year. So not a crazy number, but it's a lot. It's more than last year. But I was really surprised that there was no waiting period whatsoever in just housing this guy. And so for Jets fans, like, it was bad enough what you had to see on TV. If you're engaged in social media, you're like, wait, don't we usually get like a 24-hour grace period before we make fun of the guy that just had the season-ending injury? And in Rodgers' case, that was not it. One last thing that I want to add to the content game of this topic. I was worried we weren't going to be able to do it anymore. I would sit around at home going, is it done? Is no one going to suggest this anymore? But man, you did not let me down. Colin Kaepernick was suggested as a realistic alternative to the Jets quarterback problems on social media for like 2 days. And I'm so proud of everybody that engaged in it. I want there to be a day in 2026, like Arch Manning goes down and somebody earnestly tweets out, hey, Kaepernick's still working out. Can we get a documentary to add to his documentaries on what his workouts are like? He last played in 2016. This isn't even about, like, every Kaepernick topic in the beginning was a very political one. I've already done my rant where both sides love just trying to figure out holes in the other side's argument. I don't feel like doing my segment all over again. But that means in 2023, when he last played in 2016, people are seriously suggesting Kaepernick, hey, why not? Well, he hadn't played in 7 years would be my starting point. Let's keep it going. Week 1, we got it out of the way in 23. So that means 24, 25, 26. There might be a kid in high school right now who has no idea when he gets hurt in an NFL game 6 years from now that somebody will seriously be like, look, Kaepernick, I know it's been a while. A lot of tread left on those tires.